Oh, how times had changed.
Well, well, well. How the turntables...
Hello, friends, and welcome back to ReddX, your source for the freshest daily cringe content anywhere on the internet. Promise, swearsies, it's just a fact. And it's totally science. Go ahead and look it up. I almost slipped into John Travolta there. It's totally science. Whoa. Today we're jumping into r/LegbeardStories. My goodness. It has been a very, very legbeardy week, all things considered. We've got two sagas going right alongside each other. I also uploaded that Creepy Callie compilation, which most people feel kind of bad for Creepy Callie. But at least we can all rest assured knowing that Stealthbeard is probably in all likelihood going to hell. It's fine to point and laugh. She's obviously a horrible human being. So I would like to welcome back Solid Adept with part number 5 of this Stealthbeard saga. We still really haven't gotten into the meat of things, but judging from the title today, I mean, it might provide some cringe at the very least. So hold on to your hats, ladies and gentlemen. We're going to get some plugs and disclaimers out of the way like we do, and then we will dive right into some Legbeard cringe. Stealthbeard, the Legbeard of Ultimate Destiny. Part number 5. Blood plus semen equals cash. The title alone sends me, dude. I don't know what's going on today. I'm a little hesitant, but okay. We'll dive into it. Oh, hey. Wow. Awards on the last post? Certainly didn't expect that. You deserve it, sir. Thanks so much, guys. ReddX did a fantastic job with part 4, and I'd expect nothing less from the Beard King himself. Again, I thank you. I have tried very hard to paint a picture of all the characters involved. It seems to have worked, though we do still need to dig a bit more into Trollface's character as I twist his arm to help me out. Rest easy and know that the next parts should be relatively more action-packed. Oh, I feel bad like calling you out and stuff like that, but you just take your time, you know what I'm saying? There's no rush on the red train, alright? I'm gonna be here. When that part comes out, even if it takes 100 parts, I'm gonna be right here. I'm seeing this through to the end. I will go ahead and spoil a little bit right here and assure you all that yes, in this episode I lay the groundwork to dig up the dirt that I will use to bury Legbeard. You'd think that this would be the end of the entire woeful situation, right? Well, you would be wrong about that. What? But let's not get ahead of ourselves. We'll get some links and a recap out of the way, and then we'll be right back into the story of Stealthbeard. Yeah, look at them links, boy! You got that narrated by ReddX link? That's my favorite part, man. I just want to click them all. You can also just change the last digit of the Reddit post URL, which I didn't do on purpose, but it is neato. Talk about convenience. So, to summarize, if you can't sit through my word salad, I met a Legbeard, LB, and her seemingly normal friend, THC, while at the library. My male friend, TF, who is Trollface, encouraged me to go clubbing with them at a gay nightclub. I ended up freak dancing with my male friend while Legbeard took a video. This video would turn into the bane of my existence. I met up with her and was strong-armed into going over to her house for a makeover, where my head was shaved and ridiculous makeup was applied, and Legbeard managed to sneak yet another photo. But luckily, she also agreed to make me a Facebook and let me use her PC. Surely, I could find some dirt on her if given half the chance. I would just need to create my opportunity. And so with that recap out of the way, we are back into the story. Yeah, I think Trollface is a pretty good tool to have on your side. It seems like Legbeard is like at least a little bit into him. I don't mean to call him a tool to like dehumanize him or anything, but essentially that's what he will be used as in this series of events, I think. Anyways, I woke up, unfortunately. I've been there, bro. After the events of yesterday, I would have liked to just stay sleeping until the heat death of the universe. The hangover didn't help. While I was tired, I was also filled with a strange mix of rage and purpose. Though my body was having trouble getting itself started up this morning, my mind was already off to the races. There was a determination like I had never felt before, burning inside of me. I'm sure a lot of gifted kids have skated through most of their life without really trying. Oh, don't come at me like this, OP. I was one of them. Yeah, I was too. It leads to complacency and a false sense of accomplishment. Bro, you really coming at me. I mean, he's not lying, but sometimes the truth hurts, okay? Once real life smacks into you with all the delicateness of a loaded freight train, hey, Ramtide would probably appreciate that, that analogy. It takes you a while to regain your balance and come to accept that your brain by itself isn't going to take you everywhere in life. Some people never regain their balance, and they fall into a pattern of blaming the world that everything isn't handed to them on a silver platter. The truth is, a gifted mind only matters when you pair it with hard work, which most gifted kids never learn because they don't need to work hard in school, which is kind of ironic, no? God damn, OP nailed that one down. I've seen so many tweets about this. They're like, yeah, I was in the gifted class when I was a kid and I don't understand why it's made me like this as an adult. And I think OP hit the nail right on the head. That's wild. I'm quite impressed with that. I'm gonna put that in my brain parts for later. I might have been drinking like a fish last night, but my brain was also thinking like not a fish. Like a brain, a really big brain. Thinking and drinking with my fish brain. But my big brain needed a pick-me-up in order to set into motion the plan that I had outlined to myself the night before. As I stood up, I took a look at my pillow. It was covered in little hairs and some makeup, presumably something that I'd missed around my ears or something like that. I really wanted to drain the contents of the wine box into my extremely dry mouth. Yeah, man, alcohol fixed that extremely dry mouth. Nothing hydrates me like a box of wine. I don't mean to give it to you, OP. That just seems kind of silly to me. It might help some life to return to my system, hair of the dog and whatnot. Not actual life, mind you, just more like a band-aid that covered up the extraordinary lack of life that I was feeling. But that sweet little band-aid would really be all that I needed to get myself through the day's events. Instead, I denied myself, and my body retaliated by forcing itself to vomit up the nothing that I had eaten. Oh, OP, don't do this to yourself, man. You gotta take care of your body so it's gonna take care of you. I was vomiting pure bile, but I had been here before. I brushed my teeth, took a shower, and steeled myself. That shower was about the only pick-me-up that I was going to get this morning. As soon as my hands stopped shaking, we could get down to business. Jesus, in college and you got fucking tremors? That's so bad. Again, I don't mean to come at you, but I gotta call it like I sees it, you know? I would like to take a moment here to say that I don't have a problem with alcoholism these days. I'm not sure that I was ever really truly an alcoholic. I just used it to find refuge when my life wasn't going the way that I wanted. I think that's what alcoholics do, OP. And my life basically wasn't going the way that I wanted during this entire story, and for many years before and after, but we'll only get into that if we really need to. As soon as my life got on track, I quit drinking basically overnight. It was a coping mechanism. But for God's sakes, don't blame the wine, okay? Guns don't kill people, and beer never drank a person to death. Prohibition just don't work, I'll tell you that much right now. Booze is wonderful stuff when used responsibly. I do still enjoy a drink these days, but nowhere near the point of excess that my younger body had to endure. I also prefer a nice scotch over the bladders of wine that served me in my college years. It definitely helps me to drink less, in volume. That's funny. But seriously, I do hope that you're not drinking yourself into oblivion. Anyways, Trollface was also a big fan of the silly juice, and I did need him for a crucial element of my plan today. But first, I needed a bit of money to get some wheels and some palms nice and greased. I'm sure you guys have been wondering how I could have possibly kept some money in my pocket when my mother was intent on hoarding every cent, right? How could I possibly have money to drink and to put gas in my car without a job? Well, are you aware how much your bodily fluids can sell for? I'd like to see a late night infomercial that just starts like that. Oh my god, OP. Don't phrase it that way ever. In the grand scheme, I mean, it really isn't that much, but you can do it pretty consistently. I had a system and I made the rounds regularly. Plasma twice a week, sperm once a week. Plasma netted around $20 per visit, but semen was the golden ticket for me at that time. I was making $50 a pop, and another $20 if some unfortunate infertile couple actually decided to select my little swimmers. You getting residuals off your cum, bro? Okay then. Those poor parents that would surely raise a disappointment. And that poor little bastard who would never know the pitiable nuts that had spawned him. I try not to think about that part too much. I needed the money, and at the time I did what I had to do. After all, my ball sack was a veritable gold mine. Yeah, there's a lot of people out there just mining for free. $90 a week can be a real lifesaver if you are in need, and I had even considered selling a kidney at one point. It sounds really crazy now to think about it, but it does show the lengths that I would go through in order to get ahead and make a life for myself after more than 2 decades of leeching off of my mother. See, he doesn't really hate his mom. He wants to do good by her and good by himself. That's why even if you did spawn a bunch of little bastards through the donation agency, I forgives you, OP. I understand needs must. The wine box was almost empty. I had given it a jiggle before deciding to sell my fluids responsibly today. You can totally lie to them and go in there drunk, but if they figured it out and I lost my ability to donate, that would be bad. I definitely need some more wine after my trip back into the Harpy's Nest, and I figured it would be nice to have Trollface roll with me to the liquor store. So I picked up the house phone and gave him a call. Trollface, "Yo, St. Jude's Children's Hospital, you heard him, we heal him. Physically." He said the physically part in a really creepy way. If this was the first time I'd heard that line, I probably would have laughed, but this was probably the 300th or so time, so I just rolled my eyes and said, "OP, hi Dr. Tickles, do you have some time to roll with me to the liquor store today?" Trollface, "The one with the clown?" Again, that seems kind of like a non sequitur, but Trollface really did have an obsession with a certain liquor store in our neck of the woods, for no other reason than it having a giant neon clown sign out front. I admit that I'm a weird dude, but Trollface was an extra weird dude. Still, he was the closest thing that I had to a friend at the time, so I put up with a lot of his, idiosyncrasies. Bro, I think I know exactly what liquor store you're talking about. It's in North Hollywood. If so, what a gift from my neck of the woods, solid adept. How do we never hang out? OP, sure man, whatever. I just need to get me another box after the day that I had yesterday. I'll also get you a little something if you can do me a favor. Trollface, ooh, what's the favor? You looking for someone to tickle your prostate? The doctor is in! And what the hell happened yesterday? OP, 1, you're disgusting. And 2, I want to talk to you about it in person. Trollface was silent for a minute. I like to think that he was being pensive about my request, but in actuality he was probably just scratching his butt crack. Tasks like that required a certain amount of Trollface's very limited focus. Trollface, sounds sketchy. So yeah, I'm in. I got class until like 2 p.m. or so, but come by my house anytime after 3. I said thanks and hung up quickly. There was very little time to get done all the things that I needed to do today. I crept through the living room and out the door. It was early, and my mother was still asleep. I hopped into the car and drove to the donation clinics. I find that it's a lot easier to do semen before blood. Where's my notebook? I gotta write this down. I'm not sure why that is, but I do have a wide range of theories. Like I said, I had a system. I mean, blood is what makes your pee-pee hard, so if they take too much, then you can't donate the other stuff, right? Am I close? I don't know how it works either, but I could also theorize. This was nowhere near my first rodeo, so there's not a whole lot to mention, really. A whole lot of hurry up and wait, like the military, I guess. But I basically walked in, expelled some fluids, and walked out. But most importantly, I did get paid. With my fluids drained and my pockets filled. Oh, that paints a picture. I stopped off for a little bit of food at the McDick's, which was just a ways down the street from Trollface's place. The human body really is amazing. Even though I pump mine full of nothing but garbage, it just keeps on ticking. Though I have started to feel the effects of my routine bodily abuse in later years. Even if the food was literal trash, I was glad to have eaten something. And I had now wasted enough time with the donations, mostly, and the eating, a little bit, that it was almost time to meet up with Trollface. So I drove up to Trollface's house, and sure enough, his little Hyundai was sitting right out front. His parents have specifically told me not to just honk when I'm outside. That would piss me off too, bro. Come in, okay? Pretend that you're not scared of me. Pretend that you're a human that wants to participate with my family, even if you're only here to pick up one of my children. You know what I mean? So OP complied. Submission. Works for dogs, works for humans. I think that's his line. He walked up to the front door and rang the bell. Trollface's house is pretty huge compared to the 2-bedroom, 1-bath that I shared with my mother. He's rocking at least 4 bedrooms and 3 bathrooms for the 3 people that live there. Pretty wild. Like me, he had no siblings, but unlike me, his parents didn't ever want to see him leave the nest. It's interesting to me how he ended up in college then, like he's just doing this for himself. Interesting. Mrs. Trollface answered the door and I stuttered out a greeting. She let me in and said that Trollface was upstairs, so I bolted up to his room and knocked on the door. He told me, "Come on in." He was lounging in a beanbag chair playing some volleyball game, which would have been a surprise if the players weren't all large-chested women hopping around in bikinis. He wasn't a sporty guy, but this was the obvious exception. Typical. He played that Dead or Alive beach volleyball. Isn't that a game from like 2006? Is Trollface just out of the loop as far as gaming goes? I thought this took place in like early 2000s. Whatever, I ain't gonna try and poke holes into it. Maybe he just likes the classics, alright? Trollface's room was a disaster. I'm not exactly the most fastidious guy, but compared to the rat horde of candy wrappers, chip bags, and various 2-liter bottles of carbonated libations, I was definitely the Felix to his Oscar in this dynamic, and we were certainly an odd couple. Bro, that's like a 50s reference. How old are you again, OP? What's going on here? Maybe he just watches a lot of Nick at Night or something. Trollface and I never hung out much in high school. He was busy playing the fool and trying to get the attention of any girl who would give him the time of day, while I mostly kept to myself and did, typical nerd things. He did talk with me every now and again. He tried to get me out of my shell, and a younger, prouder me refused the help. Oh, how times had changed. Now I was begging for the help to get out of the rut that I found myself in. The fact that we were now regularly brushing shoulders at college was mostly a matter of convenience for both of us. But in a strange way, I was indeed grateful for his companionship. Yeah, like I always say, man, you just need a couple of good friends. 1, 2, 3, that's about the limit. As long as they're good people that you can actually hang around and vibe with, ain't nothing wrong with that. I also understand not wanting to go with him in high school. A lot of extroverts kind of adopt an introvert and treat him like a pet project. Not like a horrible pet project like Stealthbeard does, but, it's not fun to be somebody else's pet no matter what their intentions actually are. Although I did adopt an introvert in high school, and he's still hanging out in my Discord server, so that's pretty cool. We are good friends. But anyways, OP starts off with, "You live like a pig." Trollface stood up with a great deal of effort from the beanbag chair and said, "Whoa, dude, your hair, or rather, your egghead, looks like shit. What a statement." Anyways, better to live like a pig than to look like one. He looked at his watch, and with a puzzled face, he said, "You're like 10 minutes early. OP, I was gonna wait for you, but I saw your car was out front." Trollface smiled sheepishly and stated, "I've actually been home since noon. I just needed some time to kick back and, polish my knob before we go down the clown." That is so forward. I rolled my eyes. Again, typical. You don't want to touch his Xbox controller, I'll tell you that much. That thing is probably nasty. OP, so has the poison been extracted? Can we safely get on the road? Trollface, "Oh, look, we can't all turn cum into gold, getting paid to bust into a cup every week. A tube sock will have to do, but yeah, sure. Let's get our drink on, King Midas." King Midas. Trollface shouted, "Bye, Ma," as we exited the house. His mom just said, "Bye, sweetie." She didn't ask questions. That's mostly because she trusted her perfect little angel. My mom didn't ask questions either, but mostly because she truly did not give a single shit at this point. We loaded into my car, and I buckled Trollface's seatbelt. He refused to do it, stating something about, a nanny state. While I would be perfectly happy to let him fly out of the front windshield during a potential crash, I couldn't afford the ticket, which was a much more likely outcome. So whatever, I would be his nanny. I guess baby Trollface preferred a nanny friend to a nanny state. If you haven't picked it up by now, dude really is sort of an entitled brat. He smothers it with humor, but if you look at the situation objectively, it could not be more obvious. So with my young ward all safely buckled, I would never buckle my friend's seatbelt. I'd sit there, I'd be like, "We're not going anywhere until you buckle it. Otherwise, you can drive in your own car with no seatbelt and you can eat that ticket." It becomes a battle of wills at that point. So with my young ward all safely buckled, we were finally off. I told him all about the sordid tale, about the video, and what had happened to me yesterday. For once, he didn't have a whole lot to say. He was just sitting there, staring at his hands. It looked like he was in deep thought, which I thought was a rather impressive accomplishment. Once I wrapped my little story up and explained why I was forced to play along with Legbeard, all he had to say was, "God damn, I didn't think it was that serious." "Well, it is," I stated bluntly. He looked over at me with pleading eyes. "It's my fault." Jesus, was this empathy? Responsibility? Who are you? And what the hell have you done with the real Trollface? Maybe this was the real Trollface. Maybe he's deeper than I thought. And I would find out in the years to come that he was in fact very introspective and largely used his humor as a mask to cover up things that he was personally unhappy with. I glanced over at him. It was a quick look, but in that moment, I thought I saw his eyes welling up with tears. I wanted to avoid a meltdown, so I reassured him with the truth. Damn, maybe Trollface is more in touch with his emotions than OP is. The truth is, not everybody's like, a one-dimensional cutout. Dude definitely does have some depth to him, as most people do. Like, here's what he presents to the world, and then this other person is who he actually is underneath that. You know what I mean? It's really interesting. Anyways, OP said, listen, none of this is your fault. You can't blame yourself for someone who took advantage of what was just supposed to be a fun moment. I could blame myself for going. I could blame my mother for being a raging homophobe. I could blame the freaking alarm clock for waking me up to go study with you the other day, but none of that would be true. It is one person's fault, and I am going to make her pay. I just need you to help me. Just say the word, man. I'm listening. His sudden shift into seriousness was weirding me out a little bit, but I was grateful that I didn't have to fight through his normally sarcastic armor in order to get the message through. We pulled up at Circus Liquor. Hey, it is Circus Liquor in North Hollywood. I know where this is. I seen that clown. Never been inside, but I drove by when I was like going to stand-up gigs and shit. Pretty cool. Small world. As we browsed the bottles, I told Trollface all about my little scheme. We only had a couple of hours to get everything into place and spring the trap. I knew that Legbeard was really into Trollface. If he simply showed up at just the right time, then I would buy myself plenty of time to go rummaging through bookmarks, internet history, social media, whatever else I could find. There were just still a few problems that needed to get sorted. The first was timing. I had no earthly idea how long it would take to make a Facebook and whatever accounts they were considering creating. The second was location. In my distress, I didn't make a clear note of where I was going while leaving, and my mind was wandering too much when we arrived, so essentially I still had no clue where her house was, despite having been there before. The third and final hurdle was purpose. Why the hell would Trollface show up at Legbeard's house? So I buy the first one, OP's never made a social media, so he doesn't really know how involved it is. The second one, location, I'm bad with directions too, bro. The third one, why would he show up? Because he wanted to. I thought we were friends, bro. While I spouted all of these problems, Trollface was just standing there, watching me fret. That sly smirk had returned to his face. I asked what he could possibly be smiling about at the 0 hour, and he just shook his head. You think too much, bro. Just buy me this vodka, and I promise it'll all work out. Trollface practically sung. I promise it'll all work out. It was a $40 bottle of Grey Goose. I sighed heavily. That overpriced swill? Come on, dude. That's breaking the bank. The swill talk coming from a dude who drinks boxed wine kills me. But at least boxed wine is cheap, Grey Goose, it's just some generic ass vodka that comes in a fancy bottle. But whatever, buy the boy what he wants. He started tossing the bottle back and forth between his hands. Help doesn't come cheap. Do not drop that fucking thing, I said icily. Well, it's good to see that his episode of seriousness wasn't anything terminal. Trollface was back to his antics, which, while slightly irritating, was actually a huge relief. I nodded and pointed to the checkout counter. I started calculating the less than $5 a day I would have to see me through to my next donation, and how I could possibly make it stretch that far. Rice, beans, and pasta, mostly. That's good broke food, I'ma tell you. Lived on it for years. We checked out, and I handed over the bills that I had literally bled for. But if Trollface did have a master plan that would set me free, then this would all be worth it. We got piled back into the car, and I looked over at him quizzically. "Where to now?" I asked. "We need to get back to your house and call Legbeard," he stated, very matter-of-factly. I thought about where he was going with all this, and it would solve at least 2 out of our 3 hurdles. I could simply ask where her house was, give a copy of those directions to Trollface, ask how long our little get-together might take, since I might have to clear my schedule if I was kept past such and such time. I nodded and explained my line of thinking to Trollface, and he just smiled that sneaky fox grin. I prodded him some more. "We still don't have a reason for you to show up at our house, though." Trollface raised an eyebrow as he looked over at me. "I think you underestimate my natural animal magnetism," he said, thrusting his hips against the seatbelt that I once again buckled for him. "Haven't you ever heard about the Trojan horse?" King Midas? Trojan horse? I'll tell you this, I think Trollface is deeper than he seems. He's quite a brainy boy, despite him not wanting people to know it. Unfortunately, I am about out of time for today. Once again, my wordy nature is my downfall, but I did set out to unveil a bit more about Trollface, and I think I succeeded in that. He does have an amazing character arc as well, which I might get into one of these days. Part 4 featured Legbeard with no Trollface. Part 5 features Trollface with no Legbeard, but rest assured that in Part 6, they will both be taking center stage. I hope that you guys have been enjoying the story so far. I've been asked how difficult this series is for me to write, and I'll be honest, it's getting easier as we go. I've been in therapy, and I've overcome a lot of the ugliness that this experience brought with it, but we aren't really even into the darkest depths quite yet. But again, I'll try not to skip ahead too much. Thanks as always to ReddX for creating awesome content, and to everyone else for all the kind words and encouragement. I will be back before you know it, but until then, be well. Well, I do kind of agree with Trollface that OP is a bit of an overthinker, but a lot of that does come with being an introvert, you know what I mean? I have grown more introverted as the years have gone on, and yeah, probably one of the biggest downfalls to being an introvert is just how much thinking, how much alone time I have to just be alone with my own thoughts. And that can be a scary thing from time to time. It's also pretty helpful, but yeah, every once in a while I just gotta run something by my wife and she's like, "Here's a really easy solution." And I'm like, "Oh, duh. Why didn't I think of that?" So I think Trollface is probably going to come up with the most obvious answer. And while I was skeptical about him in the first and second episode, I do identify with him quite a bit more now, which is impressive, you know? In one story, things have gone from like, oh, I think he's just a jerk like the rest of them, into, wow, he really wants to take responsibility for his actions and be a good person and make this whole situation better in any way that he can. And god damn if I don't respect that. Like, he seems to be a really good dude. And I also really like his jokey nature, you know? I can really vibe with that. So yeah, definitely a good friend to have around. And it sounds like OP has continued his friendship with Trollface even far into the future after this, which that's pretty cool as well. I would like to hear about Trollface's origin story and stuff like that, but first we'll have to get through the whole story of Stealthbeard, and perhaps Trollface will unveil some more mysterious knowledge that he has. I'm pretty shocked that goofy dude like this would know about like King Midas, Trojan horse. He's got like a lot of historical references and stuff like that, which kind of throws me for a loop if I'm completely honest. But yeah, like I said, people aren't just cardboard cutouts, you know? Still waters run deep, yes, but also sometimes bubbling waters that can't keep themselves still seem to run deep too. So very cool. I hope to hear a lot more about Trollface in the next episode. Hopefully OP is able to bring it to this Legbeard, but he said at the beginning that even once the Legbeard is taken down, there's more to it. So that makes me a little bit curious as to what's actually going on in this story, but I guess we shall find out in one of the parts to come. Thank you as always for writing, super in-depth. I cannot wait to get this as a compilation. It's going to be like a 6 or 7 hour story, which is so freaking awesome. I'm stoked for that. So thank you so much, Solid Adept, for sharing your tale with us. And if I can repay you in some way, just let me know. And if you did enjoy this episode, friends, I hope that you will like, comment, and or subscribe. Maybe share it around if you should like. We've also got some links in the description. A lot of stuff down there, including my social medias, Twitter, Discord, Facebook. Oh, and my gorgeous, wonderful, beautiful, generous patrons. I'd like to thank them all, but especially Robert Waits, TSM Kirby, Teddy the Police, Aaron W., Jelly Donut, Candy Sora, Fire Drake, Livison, Silent Revolver, Zathras, Zero MMX, Little Lone Wolf, Vanilla Mel, Roustower, Aaron Lennox, Fisher Diggy, The OG James Cook, JM Coon, Jerry, John Hero, KK, Miss Monday, Mr. J, my boy now one Nick, Lady Nix, Katekin, Sidestep, Cider Drinker, Serrated Ash, Siegfried, Staples Geet, Synaptic Boomstick, Brilliant, Tamago, Tato Ferret, That Duck and Bug, Fusky, Redwind, Leon Embers, Naga Viper, John Indoors, A-Roxers, Cake Jerry, that's a different Jerry, Mark 211, Origami Cam, Princess Rosalie, Ghosty, The Last Shinobi, and the Maestro, Zuka Cervantes. We also have a new friend joining us today, maybe next time, which is a confusing name. It's not next time that he's joining us, it's actually this time that he's joining us. I think you guys get what I'm trying to say, right? Thank you guys so much for helping to support the channel. Absolutely massive for when videos get demonetized and stuff like that. I don't have to worry about it too much with the Stealthbeard saga. OP doesn't seem to be too much of a potty mouth. Although the title is Blood and Semen Equals Cash, so I can't be too sure this time around. So when things get demonetized, it's really nice to be able to lean back on my patrons. If you can assist these gorgeous, wonderful people in supporting the channel, that would be absolutely massive. I thank you very, very much in advance. But if you can't right now, don't sweat it too hard, friends. I just appreciate you coming on through, hanging out with me, and I hope that you come on back and hang out with me again tomorrow, because really, the views is how my beard stays butter. I always miss when we don't have any neckbeard voice in the episode. I gotta just inject some at the end. In order to join us again, you guys will need to keep yourself safe out there, but also take some time out and do something that you personally enjoy today. Maybe watching some old ReddX videos. Hey! Always remember, friends, that you are loved, you are worthy, and you definitely deserve it. I will see you in the next one, and until then, bye-bye!